Paris Saint-Germain 1, Monaco 3. That's how match day 25 kicked off. A big shock at the Parc des Princes, PSG's first home defeat of the season. We've talked a lot about PSG already with Didier in the first part, so I'm going to focus mainly on Monaco. I think apart from saying that PSG looked extremely jaded, I think, and we've seen that a bit as the sort of games have gone on. In the last few weeks, there are certain players, Vitinha's one who's being sort of highlighted. He's been so good for so long, but his level is dropping off a bit. I saw a statistic as well. Bradley Barcola played his 100th game on Friday since the start of last season, which is just absolutely astronomical. But guys, I think Monaco deserve a lot of credit. We've been pretty tough with them. They've had something of a shambolic season, let's face it. And Sebastian Pocagnoli has had a really tough sort of first few months, but there were absolutely signs of this side improving in that playoff against PSG that they lost 5-4 over 2 legs. They've now won 5 and drawn 1 of their last 6 games in the league. So they're absolutely on the up. And I was commentating at the Parc des Princes and I saw Akliouche score. I saw Golovin score with his first touch. Balogun scoring with a really good shot that took a slight deflection as well. But what really struck me was the way this Monaco side played as a team. And we haven't seen that really because there's no like massive changes in terms of the players who are coming in. They've still got injured players, but they've got guys like Aladji Bomba and Mamadou Koulibaly who are really fighting hard for the team, and they're defending as a team, John. And the guy who I love and who really impressed me loads was Lamine Camara, who's just absolutely everywhere in the midfield. But we've got to give Pocagnoli some credit for turning things around, and it's not too late in terms of they're 7th at the moment, but they're closing in now on those European spots.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that they are coming into form at the right time. I think it was absolutely crucial that they turned the corner in the way that they have in the last couple of weeks, especially when you look at how some of the teams around them are starting to put together a bit of form now. Rennes, as we all expected, under Francaise, starting to rack up the points on the board. So if Monaco wanted to still be in with a shout of potentially being in the Champions League shake-up, they needed to start finding points. And funnily enough, they've managed to claim all 6 points in Ligue 1 this season against PSG, beating them home and away. I think that they deserved more from the second leg of that Champions League playoff, but I think that the performance collectively over the 2 legs in the Champions League showed this Monaco side that they were capable of much more. So it has been heartening to see, albeit belatedly, this team waking up and starting to look a little bit more like the sum of its parts. Yes, they're still missing some key players, but some of their bigger names have started to stand up and chip in when most needed. And I think the thing that really struck me the most at the game last Friday was the difference in the levels of desire between the two teams. Monaco looked motivated from the off. They really flew into everything. You mentioned Lamine Camara. I thought that he was absolutely brilliant, had that tenacity that for months has been absolutely missing from all of Monaco's performances, really.
Monaco playing Brest next weekend. Saturday's matches, we had Nantes 0, Angers 1. Amin Sibey scoring, the Moroccan attacker for Angers. Nantes, again, I've commentated them twice in the last 2 weekends. I think they were unlucky to lose 1-0 at Lille when Lille scored in the last minute. And in theory, I'd say they're unlucky insofar as they were enjoying more of the play and trying to score. Ganago was a bit clumsy when he had a couple of chances. But I mean, Angers, they just get the best out of what is a pretty limited side, really. And their supporters, they had, I think, 1,200 away fans for what is the big derby for them. And they were just singing, going crazy the whole time. And I think Angers are basically safe now. Nantes remain second from bottom. They're now 2 points behind Auxerre because Auxerre drew 0-0 with Strasbourg, which is a pretty good result, really, for Pelissier's team, and a couple of points dropped for Strasbourg. We're going to bring George in now, though, because we're going to talk Marseille. Marseille, who've had another eventful week and, frankly, a very eventful month. George, can you tell us what happened on Saturday night, assuming you were keeping an eye on Marseille as well as sort of cheering on Red Star at the Stade Geoffroy Guichard?
Yes, I was. I was kind of multitasking at the same time. So yeah, not the nicest game to watch against Toulouse. It was a 1-0 victory and a hard-fought 3 points for OM and Habib Bey's men. God knows they need that kind of confidence at the moment. They need to, find a string of results from somewhere. So it was Mason Greenwood who scored in the 18th minute, a kind of first-time finish from the edge of the box, perfectly set up by a kind of a resurgent Igor Paixão. And Marseille fans still aren't happy. There was a banner basically saying, in the away end, you are. Am I allowed to say the word "you are shit"? Basically, in the away end. Yeah.
Like that,
I don't know when this is airing. If there's a water, if
I look, George, I don't think you can't say everything that gets said on the terraces, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. George, I want to come in because obviously they wanted to get revenge as well, because Toulouse knocked them out of the cup just a few days earlier. On penalties. But I want to sort of look at, because we haven't had you for a few weeks on the pod, and that's been a crying shame. But a lot has happened, especially in the last month. I mean, I think since we last had you on, there's been a change of coach. Sporting director has sort of been stood down and then brought back in again. Gone out the cup. Well, I mean, it's kind of just been a roller coaster. Obviously, a new coach has come in. So I want to ask you for your 5 highlights, George, from Marseille.
Well, my sleeping pattern for one in the last month has been awfully offset. I mean, right, let's go like even the last week where you have euphoria returns to the Velodrome. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang scores that last-minute winner against Lyon. Everyone is happy. Third, the podium finish is still possible. And then you have the Toulouse Cup knockout. You've got an 18-year-old Ethan Nwaneri on the last penalty who skies it. And so that's my moment number 5. We're counting down here. And moment number 4 is got to be. It's like a scene from HBO's Succession, and I'm going to refer to this episode as Benatia Gate. So Mehdi Benatia resigning as sporting director. So against Strasbourg, you've got no sporting director, you've got no manager, and the fans are all up in arms. And then all of a sudden, retournement de situation, as they say in French, dramatic turnaround. Frank McCourt flies to the OM training ground in a chopper, so a bit like HBO's Succession. He lands on in the middle.
He's
of the
like
pitch.
the Scottish guy. I can't remember the actor.
Brian Cox. Yeah, he's the Brian Cox of this situation, and you can imagine him, saloon doors going into the commandery and laying down the law, saying, actually we're going to keep Benatia. We're going to kind of put OM president Pablo Longoria, put him to the side a bit. I think the communique was very, very nicely putting that, we're going to put him on, institutional duties. And institutional duties at Marseille means you're getting the boot, because that happened to Jean-Pierre Papin last year.
Can we not just imagine, though, that Longoria was given some kind of demeaning duty in the canteen or something like that for a week while they were trying to make up their minds as to what his new role would look like?
Can you just confirm that Kendall is a good fit for Longoria, because he's like the guy gets humiliated kind of by his dad a bit, but he's still there and he's still like, come on, we can do this.
I would say so. Say so. Or Mehdi Benatia. It could be Mehdi Benatia. It could be both
we'll discuss
ways.
later.
He does a lot of voice notes, Benatia. This is when you asked me to do this section, I thought this is excellent, because I get to fully indulge in what has been my life for the past month. Number 3 is it is going to be, well, it's been a month exactly since that loss to PSG, the 5-0, and when that 5th goal went in, my instincts went, well, that's De Zerbi gone, but I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it, and I saw the press conference. He was absolutely shattered, and the departure officialization from the club, the communique came out at 2:35 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And luckily, because I'd been at the PSG game, so I don't really sleep too well after games anyway, so I like staying awake and relaxing and things, and there's all this De Zerbi chat going on, and so he after the PSG game, he'd go and talk to all the players to assess where the players were at, and he obviously had decided, well, I don't think I've got them. I don't think I've got them on my side. And then so he negotiates with the club so that his assistant managers get paid, all of his staff get paid the remainder of their contract, and the communique comes at 2:30 in the morning. So that was another sleepless night for me.
George, what number are we on? I might have to hurry.
That was number 3. Number two now. So we're working backwards now. The second, the second moment is probably the Strasbourg game after De Zerbi goes. You have all of the tension around the velodrome. You've got no sporting director. There's no one basically in charge of the club at this point. So the OM fans boycott the match. All the ultras don't. A bit like what we've seen at Strasbourg, except they weren't in the stands at all. And so this one's a bit more of a personal moment when I thought I was going to see the second coming of the Commandery invasion of 2021. So I'm going down the stairs to the mix zone where you talk to the players after the game, and you kind of go through a door and you pass through where the hospitality entrance is. And I see a bunch of basically OM supporters, kind of hoods up, kind of face covered and everything, kind of like running around on the outside, and kind of all the security stuff panicking and saying, shut the doors. So and they were apparently trying to get in to the presidential suite so they could, I would think, have a word with Pablo Longoria, who was kind of still there at the time.
You always find yourself in these jams as well. This happened at Red Star.
It's happened at Red Star.
Bag episode.
I have found myself in these kind of situations because I feel like I've got this sense of maybe like I call it a bit like the Spidey senses, but for when things are going to kick off with ultras. Because I as soon as I went through that door, I sort of thought, right, I'm going to hang around a bit, and it's definitely happened before.
That's your journalistic nose. You've got a good nose for danger.
Well, yeah, and then I saw the video of it happening a bit earlier. They were kind of like, they're going to port 18, and and then all the CRS riot police arrived. So I know I was slagging off the riot police earlier in this episode, but they were on time then.
They were helping you.
And then I think that the number one quote. So this is my number one moment.
I thought we've already had number one. Okay,
that is probably number one.
Here we go. Drum roll.
My last one thing. I think we should probably swap this. I think it's the Habib Bey quote. I think he summarized this, where he says, the former Marseille president Papa Diouf used to say to me that when a fire burns in Marseille, sometimes you have to let it burn, and it keeps the edge of everything alive. And I thought that quote pretty much sums up this last month that we've experienced. And Habib Bey,
No, it's a great quote. It's a great quote. I was going to say, to sum it all up, like a month ago, Marseille were third, and now, after all that, they're third.
We're
going to move off Marseille. There's a lot to talk about, and a lot of our time has been used up. But I think you guys will agree that was worth it, hearing about George's Marseille odyssey. On Sunday, Lens won 3-0 against Metz, which may feel like a sort of very predictable, normal scoreline. But Lens, they played Thursday night, didn't they, against Lyon, a big cup tie. They beat Lyon on penalties. So in theory, Lens still on course for a double. And that 3-0 win, John, it brings them to within a point of PSG. Abdelhamed, Chauvin and Aidara scoring. And Lens, they're not going away, are they? Don't forget, we've got Lens PSG on April the 11th.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something to really celebrate at the moment. I think having that proximity between PSG and Lens in the table is something that Ligue 1 really needs right now, and it's going to keep things exciting right up until the end of the season. I think that cup game between Lens and Lyon was superb, by the way. The way that Lyon fought back, sent it to extra time, and then you had the high stakes penalty shootout. Ultimately, Lens were able to hold their nerve, show their mettle.
Just by way of comparison, Lens, who won that penalty shootout against Lyon, it was a tight penalty shootout, as penalty shootouts usually are. Lens's fifth penalty taker was a World Cup winner, a guy who's been sensational for them this season, a guy who's got great experience, Florian Thauvin. Compare that to Marseille, who decided to, you mentioned it earlier, George, put Ethan Nwaneri on their fifth penalty in front of 65,000 people in the Velodrome, the last chance Marseille have got to win silverware this season. I really felt for Ethan Nwaneri, he's having a tough, you think about what George has gone through in the last month. Imagine what it's been like for Ethan Nwaneri. He's been in the middle of it all. He's not playing very much under Abid Bey, and he was in tears at the end of it. And I just felt that was poor management. You had Greenwood and Aubameyang taking the first two spot kicks, and they took them well. But you had other players who could have taken that. But we're going to quickly move on to Lyon. Before we do that, I want to apologise for Rennes fans, but the two Rennes fans, because they deserve a bit more time and a bit more analysis. 4 wins in a row now, 3 under Francaise. They won 4-0 away to Nice, and we will be talking Rennes, I promise, in the next week or two. Esteban Lepaul with another goal. He's got 13 in Ligue 1 this season. It is the most non-penalty goals of any player in Ligue 1, and Francaise absolutely hitting the ground running. Rennes in 5th. Brest got a 2-0 win over Le Havre, Del Castillo and Ajorc with the goals there. But John, you're going to tell us a bit about Lyon against Paris FC, which was, I don't know if it was the big Sunday night game, but it was the Sunday night game at the Groupama Stadium. And Lyon faltering, aren't they, after their incredible winning run?
Yeah, they are. I think it's been a real knock for them these past few days, going out of the cup in such agonising circumstances to Lens, and then being within a whisker, really, of losing out to Paris FC. And I think you could sense that from the fans that were present at Groupama Stadium, that they knew there was maybe part of this potentially magical season that was slipping away through their fingers. It was a bizarre atmosphere because you had part of the Groupama Stadium that was closed, so a very empty stand, in front of which Tolisso buries his penalty deep into added time to salvage Lyon a point. And I think in many ways, Lyon were fortunate to escape with a point. I think that Paris FC have improved massively just in the first couple of games under Kombouari. They're much more difficult for these teams to come up against now, and for those bigger teams in the league to get a grip of. And I don't think that leading 1-0 for the majority of the second half really flattered them. I think they deserved that goal. I think Munetsi has been an absolute revelation since joining in the winter transfer window, and I think that I would expect Paris FC to be much higher up the standings come the end of the season if they can continue this early form that they've put together under Kombouari, which might be a little bit of a poser for Paris FC and their project, given that many people assumed Kombouari would just be brought in to steady the ship, instill a bit of discipline within that squad, move them away from the danger zone, and then perhaps make way for a more prestigious name ahead of next season. But he looks at the moment like he's motivated to prove himself. And that he's still worthy of a place in Ligue 1. But I do want to give a shout out, and I feel like despite Lyon's 2 recent results, the loss at home to Lens on penalties and the draw at home to Paris FC, I feel like we're seeing some of the best football that we've seen from Corentin Tolisso in a long time. I feel like he's fit, in form. It really takes me back to some of the Tolisso at his peak during his first spell with Lyon. It's taken a long time to get here. Let's not forget how injury damaged he was when he arrived, returning for the second time alongside Alexandre Lacazette to come back home to Lyon. But it feels like he is really relishing this position that he has, the talisman of this team, captain, leading by example. You mentioned the importance of having somebody who can put the team on their shoulders, handle the pressure of being the final penalty taker. Tolisso is that guy. When the pressure is on, everybody at Lyon looks to Tolisso, and there's been a lot of debate at the moment. I know that you've got the likes of Thauvin excelling with Lens and him being an obvious member of the 2018 World Cup winning team that could potentially make a return to the French squad for this World Cup. But I feel that Tolisso's case is as strong, if not a bit stronger than Thauvin. You look at how versatile he is in terms of all the positions that he can play in midfield, and look at some of his former teammates, what they've been saying in the press recently, Samuel Umtiti, for example, I agree with him. I feel like Tolisso right now, it would be almost negligent of Didier Deschamps if Tolisso is not in his thoughts for the 2026 World Cup squad for France this summer, assuming that he stays fit.
Yeah, I mean, Deschamps could get the whole gang back together, no? Giroud, N'Golo Kanté, maybe put in a call to Lloris and Matuidi. I think they're still pretty fit. But I'm joking. I'm not joking though about Tolisso. You're absolutely right. And I think maybe, Lyon's sort of lack of squad depth is what's kind of catching up with them a bit now. They've got a lot of games, haven't they? And Tolisso was rested initially, along with Endrick as well. Although Endrick's form's been pretty poor, hasn't it? He didn't play well against Lens in the Cup, and I know Lyon fans are a bit frustrated with his sort of the way that he just seems to want to shoot every time he gets the ball and doesn't seem to want to pass to anybody else. So there are issues for Fonseca to sort out. I want to ask George very quickly, because Lyon, with that last gasp draw, they draw level on points with Marseille. Marseille are in third on goal difference at the moment, which is quite the turnaround, given that when Lyon were winning at the Velodrome, they were moving 8 points clear, I think, of Marseille. And now Marseille are back in third. Who's going to win that race? Because that's a proper race within the big picture of the league, isn't it?
I think Marseille could nick it.
George, I've probably got some Rennes fans like cursing me again under their breath, because Rennes are only 3 points behind.
They are. There is a world in which Habib Bey leaves Rennes to take Marseille, and then Rennes overtake Marseille. There is a world in which that can happen.
I read that Habib Bey. I read that he's the first coach ever to get knocked out of the Coupe de France twice in one season, which is a shame. But yeah, that's life. That's life, isn't it? It's been a lot of fun. It's been far too long, but hopefully, the listeners are enjoying the extra banter and the extra information. And that's it for this week for the French Football Show. Thank you very much to Jonathan Johnson. It's been an absolute pleasure, and George Boxall as well. Keep safe, both of you, and we look forward to having you on again soon. Thanks to everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week. All the best. Bye-bye.